All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. This is a subject near and dear to my heart. So the cast of Ted Lasso was in the White House yesterday. I don't really know what they were doing there, but
talking
I
about
guess
mental
it's cool.
health. I don't even know what Ted Lasso is. That's how honest.
It's a show on Apple. I hear that boomers like it. It's just a joke, boomers. But I do hear that you guys like it.
But also for real.
But for real
like
though,
that.
the biggest Ted Lasso fans I've ever met are all boomers. So I'm just gonna say that out there. All right, so the Ted Lasso cast was there, not dressed appropriately in my opinion, but I guess that's a subject for another day. They appeared at the White House podium next to Karine Jean-Pierre, but some major fireworks erupted after Simon Atebas. We've covered him actually before. He's a reporter for an African news outlet who has not been consistently called on by the Biden administration. He often wants to ask questions to the administration specifically about policy with regards to Africa. Now, I sympathize with Simon quite a bit because his plight of not being able to get called on is one that has been completely ignored by the White House Correspondents Association. Now, yesterday, Simon decided to force the moment and to continue to shout at the White House press secretary until she would acknowledge him. Two extraordinary things happened. One, Karine Jean-Pierre basically said that it was an act of disrespect. She said this can never happen again. But two, and this is the most galling part.
Yeah.
You should always have adversarial relations between the press and the press corps. When they're yelling, or in the press secretary, when she's yelling at you, you're doing a good job. The best part, though, was that the White House Correspondents Association president and the other people in the room turned on Simon for trying to get his question answered and actually admonished him. Let's take a listen to that full exchange.
You can't keep discriminating against some people in the briefing room because you don't like them, you don't like them.
So you have a choice.
No,
you have a choice. You have a choice.
A number of people
Okay.
in the briefing room, and I'm saying that that's not right. This is not China. This is not Russia. This is the United States. This is the White House. It's been 7 months. I sent you emails.
The rest of us are here too, pal.
It's been 7 months. You guys have not done anything for
If
me.
you have grievances, you should bring them to her later.
I have
Right
done
now,
that.
this is
I've
for the
done that.
entire
All my
press corps.
emails have been
And the
ignored.
press corps is tired of dealing with this.
No, that's not, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
From across the room. You've been discriminating against me and discriminating against some people in the briefing room. And I'm saying that this is the US, this is not China, this is not Russia. This is not Russia.
Okay.
What you are doing, you are making a monkey of the First Amendment. It's been 7 months. You've not called on me. You've ignored my messages. I'm saying that that's not right. That's not right.
Fun times, welcome, guys. Welcome. Welcome to the press briefing room. Okay.
But this is not right.
Are we ready? Are we going to behave?
Are we ready? Are we going to behave? I mean, listen, I was there in the Trump years, Krystal. I remember when a guy named Jim Acosta, who is now the host of a very low-rated Saturday morning program, but who's watching that, happened to get his career and make millions of dollars on a book by literally grabbing a microphone out of a White House intern's hand, refusing to give it up, and consistently shouting at the president. And guess what? Although I made fun of him at the time for the way that he acted, I would still be outraged if other people in the press corps were to shout him down, because the whole point is adversarial relations with the press, and look, you can take it in whichever direction that you want, at the end of the day are exactly how it should exist. And instead, the White House Correspondents Association president, Zeke Miller, actually apologized to the press secretary after that and said, our apologies on behalf of the press corps. And I think it's always important that we try and take you guys inside of the room, is the entire system is rigged completely. The government has no say over the press room. It's all controlled by the White House Correspondents Association, including the seating chart, including who they allow in and out, whether people like Simon and others, people like me, who had to stand in the aisles and trying to get called on by the press secretary. Also, and with respect here, as you can clearly see, what they have done is the Biden administration returned to the rule where the first person to get called on in the briefing room is the Associated Press. Worse, though, is that the traditional custom in the room is that the Associated Press correspondent, in this case also the White House Correspondents Association president, he also gets to decide when the briefing is over. So people should remember, we played that audio of a fight that broke out last time that we exclusively obtained here at Breaking Points, which showed that the Associated Press president called the briefing over, and reporters in the back were like, hey, you didn't have to call it over. Like, we still have questions here. The point is why are they the ones effectively apologizing here for the breach in decorum or whatever, whenever you're supposed to have adversarial relations? And two, why are you policing people for acting the way that you all acted during the Trump administration? They used to scream like banshees when Sarah Sanders came out. And it's outrageous that now that they are getting called on, it's decorum. That's decorum fest. We have to police each other. When they weren't getting called on, oh, it was an attack on the First Amendment. The press was in trouble. We all have to stand together. I can't tell you how many times they would come to all of us, afterwards and be like, we got to stand together, guys. Like, we got to make a big stand for press freedom and all this. Well, what about this? It's the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, that's the part that is really galling to me. Like, I can't really blame Karine Jean-Pierre for—
That's her job.
Right.
That's her job.
Her job is to be spokesperson for the president and to call on the people she wants to call on and answer the questions she wants. I can't really blame her because she is basically just doing the role that she's supposed to do. What is unforgivable is all of those supposed journalists in the room teaming up against their fellow colleague who is trying to get heard and trying to get a question answered. And he says he hasn't been called like months and months and months. And, I don't doubt that he raises and asks questions about issues that most of the rest of the press corps isn't really paying attention to.
Yes.
So it's not without consequence, especially when you consider the fact that this administration is very closed off. Biden gives very few interviews. They mostly only make themselves available to friendly outlets. So this is one of the only times when you have a little bit of give and take where you might be able to get a response on an issue that, they're not going to get asked about otherwise. So there are real stakes here. And it just demonstrates that, the ones who sit in the front row and get most of the questions, they are more interested in preserving decorums in service of their access and their friendly relations with the White House than they are with actually fulfilling the adversarial role that the press is supposed to fill.
Right, and that was the major one. And of course, this has been met with complete silence. They have no answer for their hypocrisy. I literally was once shouted down by April Ryan, who basically threw one of the biggest fits I've ever seen whenever she didn't get called on by President Trump. I've seen Jim Acosta, Peter Alexander, and all of these other people beclown themselves to a historic degree. I was standing right next to them while they were doing it. And guess what? They were making millions of dollars. They were becoming heroes amongst their fellow press members for standing up to Sarah Sanders and Sean Spicer to President Trump. And now, whenever somebody acts the exact same way that they did, but it's somebody who's outside the club, oh, this is a breach of decorum. Also, here's the other favorite part. You can raise them with her later. Yeah, she gonna take a meeting with her? It's not so easy to meet with the press secretary.
Right.
Okay? It actually is very hard if you don't want to. I used to have to get up at like 6 in the morning and go stand by Sarah Sanders' door just to literally get 2 seconds with her. Just be like, hi, just so you know. That's how it works. If the big time reporters, though, of course, they get meetings with them all the time. It's a complete insight. Again, George Carlin quote, big club, you ain't in it. And Simon is finding out the hard way. He had the temerity to shout at the press secretary, which is literally supposed to, what these people are supposed to do. But they don't have to shout anymore because they've got that inside relationship. This is it's totally rigged the way that this happened, and he just exposed it again once again after his last big stand. So there you go.
And if you really want to be disgusted, just look at the online reaction to this. Was all in favor.
Yeah, you're right.
How dare he?
Right.
How dare he?
Yeah.
Speak up and
how dare he shout at the queen?
Break decorum, etc. So anyway, hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.